Heyo, and welcome back to week 2 of MerMay. And I know that last week's video had kind of a bad angle. I realized a little too late, and by a little too late I mean like 3/4 of the way through the illustration, that having the camera on my right side while I'm right-handed is probably not the best idea. Also, that table, as much as I loved to draw there and be in the living room, I couldn't do it with my back anymore, so I ended up just switching back to the table I recorded other couple videos at in the past, and just decided to sit there to record there with the camera on the left so you can actually kind of see what I'm doing. But for the second week of MerMay, I wanted to revisit some merfolk designs that I had not touched in at least 3 years, 3 or 4 years now, and it's making me feel old that it's that long ago. But I wanted to draw Henry in his merfolk design again, because I just think that he has a nice design. I also just really like Henry as a character. And of course I had to draw his partner Jeffrey. And my idea with Henry in the original design is that his tail is very blue with very small amounts of pink, and that's just like kind of a symbolism, but I say kinda, it is a symbolism that he is trans, and the testosterone that he takes is slowly getting rid of the femininity, which is why it's seemingly like the pink of the tail is faded. And honestly, he's just the one character I have that canonly does not have nipples because of top surgery, and I just feel weird drawing them in general, so he's like the only merfolk character I have that does not have a vest or a shirt of some kind. And if you're wondering, that's oh, why does she always put shirts and bras and vests on merfolk? It's because I don't want to draw nipples. I just don't want to. I don't know why it makes me feel uncomfortable, it just does. But I just liked Henry's design, so I figured I would draw him in again. And like I mentioned, I wanted to bring in Jeffrey. Now, Jeffrey is trans, non-binary. They go by they, them pronouns. So much like Henry's design, I wanted to include some of Jeffrey's pride flag and everything in the tail and fins. But I'll get to that coloring later. Last week's video, I used the Art 101 watercolor markers, and they were fun, don't get me wrong, but I knew I wasn't going to have the colors that I wanted, so I just went back to my regular old water-based markers, like the ones from that big box under my bed, because I knew I was going to get the colors I wanted. And even then, I still didn't get the colors I wanted. These markers are almost 6 years old by now, maybe 7 or something like that, and I'm not doing that for the meme, because I fucking hate that meme. So a lot of the colors that I usually go to have died, so I'm left with the colors I don't normally use, which is fine, because I still have some colors I do use, it's the ones I would be going for, oh, this is a darker version of this, but I just have to layer it like this, or use 2 coats to make it like that kind of stuff. And these are just cheap water-based markers that I was given as gifts. Not saying I'm ungrateful for the gift, but just saying they're water-based, I only really use them for illustrations I know are going to have a lot of detail, or MerMay, that kind of stuff. Stuff I want with excellent shading or color theory, that kind of stuff. So as I was picking out these colors, I realized that Jeffrey's skin tone is very dark. They have a very dark skin tone, but I didn't want to do a dark brown. I did, but a lot of my dark browns are very gray undertone. So I ended up using my Crayola Colors of the World, and even my darkest one was too dark, and then the next step down was too light. So I ended up using 2 coats of the light version, and then just shading with the darkest version. And same thing for hair. I couldn't get a dark brown that was well enough, so I had to layer a dark brown with a dark warm brown. And then I did not want to shade their hair with black. But yeah, I did not want to shade their hair with black, but I had to because I didn't have anything darker. Because if I went red, I've done all the swatches, it would have lifted the color, and then if I had done blue, it would have been too cool, and I wanted it to stay on the warm side. And then Jeffrey's shirt is a burgundy red My Chemical Romance shirt, but the shade burgundy, you either go purple, which is really cool because my warm purple is dead, or brown. So I went brown, so now Jeffrey just kind of looks like a blob of brown. And I thought that the color for the vase that I picked out, I wanted it a brownish purple, so I layered purple on top, but I thought it was going to lift the color like it did on my swatch sheet, and it did not. So it's just really one dark mess, but I still like it for what it is. And the same thing kind of happened with Henry's skin tone. It's actually the same thing that happened with Vincent's in the last short I posted. Vincent and Henry have the same skin tone, and it's in my gel pens. It's this neutral-ish brown that I really, really like. But when I did Vincent in the last short, I picked a color that looked good on my swatch paper, that I was like, it's a little dark, but I can get away with it. And then it was just too dark. Compared to everything else, it was really dark, so he looks off. And the same with Henry. When I went over the color, which I knew was his skin color, I looked at it and said, oh, that's too light. So I went back over with it thinking it wasn't going to get that dark, and it did get that dark. So he's a little darker than he's supposed to be, but it's not like awful, you know? It's one of those like, oh, this is frustrating me moments. Like, I swear I know how to draw characters. I know how to draw these characters. I'm just dumb. But what I wanted for this, besides just them two hanging out, that's why besides also focusing on Jeffrey's tail designs, which is why their tail goes over Henry's, because we've seen Henry's tail before. We haven't seen Jeffrey's. But I kind of wanted them to be exchanging their crafts, because in canon, Jeffrey is a sculptor. They use clay. They own a little shop where they sell vases, mugs, plates, like that kind of stuff. And Henry is a watercolor artist, so sometimes Jeffrey will give Henry their creations, and then he will paint on them with the glaze, and then they sell them together. They own the business together. But then I'm like, how am I going to portray watercolor artist or like a painter into merfolk? And I'm like, okay, we'll just put the picture in like a frame, which is like this little pink seashell. And the pink seashell is low-key an homage to Fall Out Boy, that Ethan Hawke monologue from, God knows I can't remember what movie it's called, but it's a Fall Out Boy song also. And besides even just sharing their crafts, I was also inspired by that heart-shaped rack in the background. My fiance and I are like super into plants right now. Like, what started off as a small garden of just like seeds that we got from vegetables that we cut up over the winter, it started as a full-blown garden. So now we have like 5 tomato plants, 6 pepper plants. Actually, we're gonna have more pepper plants because we have jalapenos on the way. We also have lavender, peppermint, chocolate mint, dill, oregano, and basil. And then for plants, we have a speckled pothos, a vining pothos that my coworker gave me. My coworker also gave me a fucking monstera leaf. I am in shock. It was rooted and everything. Oh my god, this is one of the coworkers that I am having some kind of problems with. Like, I'm still kind of mad at her because her husband that she works with is kind of like a fuck shit. Like, he's just like, he's rude, you know, and he does what he does to do the bare minimum, and I feel like he doesn't let her express herself all that well. But I don't know, I really can't say much besides that. Like, I love her, can't stand him. But yeah, we also have a pink princess. We just got an aloe plant, and then I ended up repotting my mother-in-law's lucky bamboo. So yeah, but we were looking for a shelf to put in front of the window because the one little shelf is starting to become crowded. And I ended up finding this one on Home Depot. I did not buy it, but it's $100 heart-shaped shelf rack, and it is gorgeous. And I'm like, if I'm never gonna be able to afford this, I'm just gonna put it in an illustration. And I love the way it turned out. And it's also canon that Henry and Jeffrey just have a bunch of plants. I drew them like 1.5 years ago with a bunch of plants. So I mean, it works out in the canon. But besides the heart-shaped stuff and then like that couch thing, I really didn't know what I wanted in the background besides plants. So I was like, let's throw some jellyfish in there, because every time I'm on Pinterest looking up mermaid aesthetic, I find these jellyfish lights, and I never draw them. And these aren't even like lights, they're just jellyfish. And I realized I drew 5 of them, so because they're both technically trans, I put the trans colors across the jellyfish. But oh my god, let me tell you how obnoxious it was trying to figure out a color combination for Jeffrey's tail, because the non-binary flag is like yellow, white, purple, and black, and I don't have a clear glitter marker, so I was using silver, which, I mean, I had a glitter silver, but it would have come across a little bit better as instead of the metallic, but I've already done that because I did this all in one day, maybe like 3 hours or so. So I'm just trying to get MerMay done. Like, at the time of recording this, it's not even May, and I already have more than half of MerMay done. I have 3/4 of my shorts, and now I have half of my long form videos. I'm so very proud of how quickly I'm going through MerMay. Plus I have stuff that I've recorded that isn't even up yet, and I'm just getting back into making videos. And especially now that my fiance, like, I'm getting so comfortable recording at least speed paint style videos around my fiance. And once it starts getting warmer out, because right now it was like a high of like 58, something like that, I'm gonna be recording outside, and it's just gonna be quiet and nice. And I just have a lot of videos planned after MerMay, and I'm very excited for that. But we're gonna see how this goes. So yeah, here we are halfway through MerMay, and I'm very excited that I actually decided to participate in this challenge instead of just sitting it out because I was nervous something wasn't gonna go right. with like my life, but yay, I'm happy. And honestly, using these water-based markers, I'm loving the way that all of these illustrations are coming out. I don't know what it is, but it's like, yeah, I know how to work with like details and everything, and my gel pens have flat color, and I don't get me wrong, I adore my gel pens, but when it comes to the water-based markers, there's just something about them that I'm like, oh, the level of detail I can get for some reason when I use the marker stuff, because it just reminds me of my Copics. You know, I haven't used my Copics in a long time. But yeah, I'm very, very happy with how everything's coming out so far, so I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm just happy with the way my art is coming out, and the sketchbook is coming together really nicely so far. So I'm just going to say thank you guys so much for watching. The links to my Blue Sky and my Etsy to support a small business are down below. And I will see you guys next week with another mermaid video. Bye!